everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday, episode 14. Eventually, I'm going to lose count of these because there'll be so many. I'm excited about that. I thought I wasn't going to be able to I'm using old terms, to record this episode tonight because I was having some digestive issues. And I was texting with my friend and I said, I think my resistance is showing up to resistance. I'm going to talk about resistance, and here it is. So tonight we're going to talk about resistance. So what is resistance? What do I mean when I say resistance? Resistance is basically the ego, the small part of ourselves that lives in fear, that's fear-based, trying to stop us from expanding into a greater spiritual life of love and joy and happiness. And why does the ego do this? That's probably a question for the ages, but because the ego is based in fear, it's constantly in a state of being threatened. So this expansion, any kind of change, is threatening to the ego. And that's why change is so difficult for us. And that's why we have so much resistance to change. When you're doing deep spiritual work and you're changing the vibration of how your energy moves and functions, it's very deep work and it's very threatening to the ego. So the ego has all these little tricks. It's very tricky. And it will convince you to stop doing what you're doing because it doesn't like the discomfort and it doesn't know what's going to happen to it. It's a self-preservation thing. The ego wants to be in charge. The ego wants to stay forever. And that's just not the case. When we die, that ego is gone. And that's the part of us that's so threatened by that ultimate sort of letting go. Even though we pass on past this life, we keep when I was speaking with that loved one last week, this person was using phrases that they used in their regular life that was recognized by my client. So you keep a part of yourself, at least for a period of time, before you transcend into this completely spiritual place. So there's really nothing to be afraid of, but the ego doesn't recognize that, and the ego tells us differently. So I want to talk a little bit about types of resistance, because there's different ways that resistance can show up in your life, like digestive problems out of nowhere to keep you from getting to your show on time. So let's talk a little bit about physical, since I brought that up. So physical resistance is sneaky because we often don't recognize it as resistance. So anywhere in your body that you're holding a lot of tension, that you habitually hold tension, that's probably a site of resistance. So energetically speaking, resistance is energetic stagnation. It's an area of your energy that's not moving. It's not in flow. It's not connected to this divine flow that we're always trying to get into. It's stuck. So most of us, like I, carry a lot of tension here in my shoulders. And of course, there are physical components to this, and we could go into that. But to me, everything is spiritually based. Everything is energetically based. Yes, maybe I injured my arm. Maybe there was an energetic reason why it was my arm. But what I'm talking about is these chronic areas of tension that we carry in our bodies. And I'll give you an example of one for me that's not maybe the norm, because this area is sort of a tension area for everyone. But since I was a kid, I carry a lot of tension in my outer thighs and my quadricep region. And I can tell when I'm tired, when I'm overwhelmed, my thighs start to ache. They get really, really tight. And no matter how much physical massage I get on that area, they don't release. And that's a sign of resistance. That's a sign of energetic holding or stagnation. And all of these terms I'm using interchangeably. Resistance is energetic stagnation in the body physically. What happens with this sometimes is that we've held this pattern for so long that we don't even recognize it as a resistance pattern. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how this topic came up for me and why I'm talking about it today. But that's something that I've been working with myself in the last couple weeks, is what are these areas of resistance? Why are they here? How can I get rid of them? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about mental and emotional resistance, because it's a little easier to recognize, but it's trickier in a lot of ways. So here's some examples of mental resistance. Let's say you're going to start something new, or you're doing a practice, and I'm going to go into that a little bit with an example. If your mind starts saying things like, "This is stupid," I don't need this. This is a waste of my time. A lot of times that's resistance. That's the ego trying to get you to quit doing something because it's threatened. Whereas spiritually, it might be completely expansive and amazing and exactly what you need for your next stage of growth. But the ego doesn't like that. So it starts the monkey mind, as they say in Buddhism, or Carl Jung talked about, the monkey mind starts telling you, oh, no, you don't need to do this. This is stupid. This is a waste of your time. Do something else. So I've been doing, for the past a little bit over a week, I've been doing, well, I guess since the beginning of this month, I've been doing a sound practice. So every day I watch the video with this amazing woman. Her name is Trish Devney. And we go through these primordial tones that kind of go through each chakra. And at the very beginning, she said that sound is a great tool to move resistance, which is true. It's a great tool to move energy. But what I've noticed is that my mind keeps telling me reasons why I shouldn't do my practice. Oh, I don't have time today. Oh, I'm too tired. One night it was like, oh, it's 10:30 at night. It's way too late. And what I had to do is I committed to this practice, and I just keep telling myself, I'm committed to this practice. I'm going to follow it through. I'm going to see this through, despite what the messages my mind is trying to tell me. And for me, I've been doing this kind of practice long enough that when I hear that stuff, it's like, oh, I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right thing here because somebody's upset about this. And that means that maybe I'm going to blow something wide open and start to move some of this stagnation that I haven't had access to before. We're going to talk about the solution for resistance. And unfortunately, there's not an easy solution, but we're going to talk a little bit about different ways to approach this. A lot of us, what we tend to do is get really aggressive with it, like, "Rrr!" And that's exactly what the resistance wants. Just in the laws of physics, every force has an opposite and equal force, right? So if you're pushing against your resistance is just going to push back, and the stagnation will get worse. So trying to kind of aggressively subdue it, and that's exactly the wrong thing. That's what the resistance likes that. That's not what the resistance really wants. What the resistance really wants is for you to ignore it so it can just go on kind of collecting these areas, and your ego can feel safe and secure and surrounded by this energy that makes it feel like it's in a little comfy hidey hole, and it doesn't have to expand. It doesn't have to grow because that's uncomfortable. Ignoring resistance is what most of us do. When you start working on this, these kind of spiritual practices that I help people with, that I've been doing for so long, sometimes your initial response when you start recognizing resistance is that aggressive, like, I'm going to take you down. And like, no, you're not. It's going to take you back down with it. So my approach to resistance is we want to gently dissolve resistance. We want to use love. We want to use energy. We want to use motion, whatever kind of is called for in the particular situation. That's how we gently dissolve resistance. So we want to bring love. We want to make the ego feel safe. We want to be in a safe space so that we can relax. And if you know much about body work or massage, or you've had a lot of body work and massage, that's what a massage therapist does. A good massage therapist is not like, beating your muscles into submission, because it's not going to work. A good massage therapist gently eases their way in to relax your tissues, and possibly, like, I use energy work for that because it's so much more effective sometimes than the physical, because the physical holding is just a symptom of a deeper issue, which is this energetic stagnation, this resistance to change. And so this year, of course, there's been so much change this year. And I feel like for me personally, it's been a huge year of growth, and with growth comes resistance. So that's kind of how I arrived at this topic for tonight. And again, everything I do is intuitive. It kind of came to me intuitively. And I was a little bit worried. Usually it's really easy. And I was like, I'm not getting anything. And I think it was Monday night or Sunday night that it came to me that this is what we were going to do. So dissolving resistance, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes perseverance. And it takes this gentle touch. And every week, I say this, be gentle with yourself, be loving with yourself, try to let go of the judgments that you have about. So even like when I have these thoughts, oh, why am I doing this? This is stupid. This is a waste of time. Or sometimes I'll get halfway through and I'm at this chakra on my sound practice and I'm like, oh, my heart's open. I don't need this. So recognizing that and acknowledging it with awareness, that's the first step of spiritual processing, is awareness. That's the first step of most spiritual practices. So being aware of these things and then being loving about it. So if I beat myself up about beating myself up, I'm just compounding, it's just going to explode in negativity. If I have these negative thoughts and then I approach them with more negativity, the negativity just expands and it grows. So what we want to do is be neutral. We want to approach kind of these things. So my neutral mind, when I hear this, says like, oh, that's interesting. That's obviously a sign of resistance. I wonder what that's about. And then I just send love and I continue my practice. And so I've been doing, outside of that practice, I've been doing a bunch of meditations nightly where I just sit with my resistance. I find it in my body and then I ask it, I gently encourage it to relax. And sometimes I'll invite a guide in to help me. And that can be helpful because they have that sort of objectiveness that you lack when you're working on yourself. So we're going to do a little bit of that tonight in the meditation. And again, as always, you can repeat the meditation. This resistance builds up over a lifetime. So you're not going to get rid of it in one session. And if you did, it might be so overwhelming that you might actually move backwards. When I had my second Reiki attunement, I had this big opening of the throat and I felt so exposed and vulnerable. I could barely function for the next week. And I went back to my teacher and I said, we got to do something about this. Like, I can't, this is too much for me. It was a huge opening, but I wasn't quite ready for it at the time. And over the years, I've worked with that to open it and in a way that's comfortable. So when you do healing work, when you're working on yourself, of course you want to challenge yourself. You want to push your limitations a little bit, but always with love and always in a gentle way and always at a pace that is comfortable for you. Well, maybe comfortable is not the right word because we're talking about being with discomfort, but a pace that is appropriate. So if you have such a huge release that you can't function for the next 2 weeks, that might be great. Or that resistance might just come back because it'll confirm your ego's fears. See, look, like with me, oh, see, look, we're so exposed. Oh, this is terrible. Ah! And then it just came back. So working with this stuff gently, working with it over time, not expecting a huge release right away. And you might have a huge release. I mean, energy work is always unpredictable, but staying gentle with it will encourage. Your body has so much intelligence. Our energetic fields have intelligence beyond what we will ever understand. Asking the body what it needs, checking in with your intuition, and letting this happen at its own pace in a gentle way, your body will know what to do. Your body will know how much to release. And sometimes you might feel like you're not making any progress, but you are. It's kind of like a sculptor. You're maybe chipping away a little bit. And when you start with this big rock, I don't know what that's going to be. Is that going to be the statue of David? Like, maybe the sculptor spent 2 weeks and it's still, I don't even see an arm yet. So just be gentle, be patient, persevere, continue with this practice, and you will definitely start to notice results. And they might not always be comfortable, but when you're in that support, when you're reaching out for the support we have, when we support each other in this practice together, the support of the divine that's always available to us, this whole process seems easier and more loving, and we can be in ease with it. So we're going to check in with some physical resistance and with some emotional resistance. If you'd like to have a specific intention, if there's something in your life specifically that comes to your mind right away, maybe a situation that you're having difficulty with or a relationship you're having difficulty with, you can work within that specific situation with the resistance. If nothing specific comes to mind, then just let it be kind of a global overall check-in. And you will get information from the intuitive body, from your guides, from the divine. So whatever feels appropriate to you, as always, go with that. Whatever comes to you first, unless something else comes in much more strongly. Sometimes that happens. But for the most part, the first thing that comes to you is usually that intuitive message that you can follow through with. All right, enough talking. It's time to meditate. See, maybe that was my resistance trying to get me not to get it to dissolve. All right, so find yourself a nice comfortable position. If you can, have your feet flat on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, notice where your bottom connects to the earth. Notice where the bottom of your feet connect to the earth. Let yourself get settled for a moment. Let go of any concerns, anything that happened earlier today that you're maybe still holding on to, or anything that's coming up later tonight or tomorrow. Let yourself really come into this present moment and focus on this practice before you. Go ahead and start, as we always do, with a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Add that ha sound to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Let yourself take 2 or 3 more of those deep breaths. And let your awareness come gently into the body. Let's not focus on any specific area tonight. Just have the intention to bring your awareness into the body. And notice any areas of discomfort in your body. It could be outright pain, it could be a feeling of tension or tightness. It could be in your muscles or bones. It could be in your organs, in your guts. Just notice what's calling for your attention at this point, and recognize that that is a sign of resistance. It's an area where you're habitually holding energy, where you're habitually stepping out of flow. Tonight we want to come back into flow. We want to gently encourage flow in these areas. So you can focus on one area, whatever comes to your consciousness first. If there's more than one and it feels right, you can allow your attention to be in more than one area, but focusing on one area will give you the most sense of focus. It will allow you to be the most present in this moment. So when you find your area, take a couple of nice deep breaths directly into this area and add that nice ha sound. You can imagine a light coming into this area of the body, whatever color suits you. Maybe it's the golden or white light of the divine. Maybe it's a purple. Any color that comes to you, or no color, is perfectly fine here. Send that color into this area of your body. And then ask your body if it has any messages for you about your resistance here. Is there something you can do to help the body release this area? This may be something physical, and maybe a spiritual, energetic task. It may be emotional. It may just be asking you to check in more often, to do this practice more frequently, to take a few deep breaths at various times during the day into this area of tension. And you can repeat the following affirmation silently or out loud if possible. If something else comes to you, you can use that. I gently step into the flow of life. I allow divine energy to freely flow through my body. And now imagine yourself sending pure love into this area of tension, this area of resistance. You can use your waterfall of joy. You can connect into the divine flow, that golden white light that we call in at the beginning of our meditations. You can just have the intention that you're sending unconditional divine love into this area. You can place your hands there if it feels comfortable. And notice as you're doing this, if you're having any thoughts or emotions coming up. We're going to check in the mental, emotional body here in a minute. But just notice what comes up for you here. Does this area feel like it's letting go? It might actually feel more tense. It might be the first time that you've looked at this, and the tension, the resistance has its hackles up a bit. That's okay. Just keep breathing here, keep focusing, keep sending energy to this area. Keep breathing deeply. And notice if you're getting any messages here. Maybe your intuition is telling you something specific you can let go of. Listen to that message now. And then turn that into an affirmation. I allow myself to let go of whatever the message is that came to you. I allow myself to let go of struggle. Fill in your word here. And let's say that 3 times. I allow myself to let go of. I allow myself to let go of struggle. I allow myself to let go of struggle. I allow myself to let go of struggle. And then letting your awareness float gently into your emotions, into that mental, emotional body. Perhaps you focus in the heart center. Whatever comes to you here, it doesn't need to be a specific area. Check in with your emotions. You may feel your emotions in your gut. You'll know where you most often feel your emotions. If you want to focus on a physical part of the body, do that now. But it's not necessary. You can just have the intention that you're checking in. And notice what your resistance looks like in your life. Does it look like anger? Does it look like fear? Does it look like the phrase, I can't, or I'm afraid to? What is your personal experience of emotional resistance? Is it the feeling of needing to hide? Is it the feeling of needing to be aggressive? Just notice this here. Let go of any judgment. Stay in your neutral mind. See what comes up. You can check in with your intuition using the phrase, I experience my resistance in this way, and see what comes up. Or ask a question, how do I experience emotional resistance? once you have your answer, I want you to use your hands here and hold this resistance, hold this word or phrase that's come to you in your hands with so much love. Imagine it's a newborn baby or a baby animal. It's a puppy or a kitten. We've used this practice before to bring love. Maybe you're just checking directly in with divine love and flowing that into this emotional resistance. And recognizing that below any emotional resistance is always fear. So now hold this fear in your hands. Reassure this fear that everything is safe, everything is okay, that change is good, that growth is amazing, that discomfort is a sign of growth, just as much as it can be a sign that something's wrong. Continue to hold this fear. Sending love. And ask this fear what it needs. What does this resistance need from you to gently dissolve? Is there an answer that comes to you? Is there a practice? Is there an object you can place here metaphorically? Does it just need awareness and attention and love? What does this fear need? What does this resistance need from you to gently dissolve? And then repeat the following affirmations out loud if possible, or silently if that's more appropriate. And if something else comes to you, by all means, add that to your affirmation. I gently allow resistance to dissolve in my life. I see my resistance and I send it love. I embrace change. I embrace growth. I embrace the discomfort that comes with growth, knowing that it serves my highest good. I step into my highest good. I allow my resistance to gently dissolve. I joyfully step into divine flow. Continue to hold this fear for just another moment, sending as much love as you can, inviting your personal spiritual guides to assist you in sending love here, to assist you in your gentle dissolving of resentment, of resistance, of fear, of hatred. And as you're ready, release this fear. Take a nice deep breath. Let it out with a sigh. any last affirmations that have come to you out loud if possible. If there's a specific emotion that came up for you, allow yourself to state out loud that you are willing to release it. I release fear. I release resentment. I release hatred. I release worry. And then end with one last affirmation. I release resistance. I gently dissolve my resistance. I embrace my spiritual growth. Allow your energy to settle back into the body. In this last moment here, you can allow that crown chakra, the top of your head, to open. Call in divine light and divine love to fill your being. Let it flow through the head and jaw, into the neck and shoulders. Let this divine light, this flow, continue down into your arms and hands, allowing this beautiful light, this unconditional love, to dissolve resistance gently as it travels into your chest and upper back, into your abdomen and mid-back, your low back and low belly. Let this beautiful divine light, this beautiful energy of flow, continue into your hips and pelvis, gently dissolving resistance as it goes. Let it come down into your thighs and knees, all the way into the shins and calves, the ankles and feet. Let this divine flow, this anti-resistance, fill you now. There is no resistance in a state of complete flow, of complete surrender to divine grace and joy and love. Let yourself experience a taste of that now. And as you're ready, you can allow that chakra, that crown chakra, to gently close if you like. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Notice that connection of whatever body part is on the ground. Let that move a little bit. Let your body move a little bit. You can shake your hands, arms, just encouraging any last bits of that resistance, of that stagnation that's built up, to gently flow out. You can shake your feet, move your legs around a little bit, shake your whole body a little bit if you like. And releasing this, as always, with the intention that this energy is to be used for the highest good elsewhere. With appreciation that anything you've released tonight was serving you at one point. So release it with love. And as you're ready, come back to yourself. Take a brief moment to check in. Notice if your body feels any differently, if this area of resistance you were working with feels any different. It's fine if it doesn't. Don't judge yourself if it doesn't, but just notice if there's been any shift, however small. Notice in your emotional state if that's shifted, if you feel lighter or as though you've released anything. Again, if not, that's fine. Just notice. as you're ready, and say out loud or silently, I'm fully present in my body. I am fully present in my body. I am fully present in my body. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Once again, thank you for providing support energetically in this practice. Send some gratitude to the other people who are practicing it with you here live or who may practice in the future. This energy transcends time. It transcends place. It brings us together, whether we're doing this today or tomorrow or next week, whether we're doing this in the same room or even the same country. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful rest of your night and a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.